I want to make your time well spent. You've invested some time in this presentation today. I've put a lot of time into making this presentation, and I'm very excited to be here, and I want to thank Reed for asking me back. I love being here, and I really love traders, and I'm super happy to be with you today. Can I just get can I ask a quick question from you? Where are you from today? Let me know where you're from. I'm not going to spend a lot of time saying hello, but I do want to know where you're from, and that you can, okay, New York City, Atlanta, Tennessee, Russia, hey Yuri, Petaluma, Dallas-Fort Worth, New York, Florida, sunny UK, Lima, Peru, hey, London, Brazil, Delaware, Omaha, Seattle, Croatia, hey, that's nice, Cedar City, Baton Rouge, UK, Dayton, Ohio, San Francisco, Greece, Indiana, California. So nice to see you all. Birmingham, Alabama. My dad was born in Gadsden, Jeff. So how y'all doing? How's your mom and them? Okay, let's get going, everybody. Thanks, everybody. So happy to see you here. Very pleased to be with you today. My name is Rob Booker. I don't assume that you know who I am, and I hope you don't assume that I know who you are. I actually love traders very much. I've been a trader for 14 years, and I've been through all the ups and downs. And this is a picture of me rolling up my sleeves, getting ready to punch somebody in the face at a recent seminar that I did in Orlando, Florida. I run a podcast for traders where I answer questions about trading, and twice a week we do a longer format interview or episode, and then 3 times a week we do a very short format question and answer where you send me a question and I answer it on the air. I love the Traders Podcast. We're in our 360th episode or something like that, and our 3 years running already. I'm also the founder of TFL365.com, where I publish trade alerts, and we have a family and community of 1,200 traders around the world who spend time together every day chatting about stocks and currency trades and futures trades. If you want to ask me a question in the webinar today, or at all, I'm not very good at looking at the questions in the webinar. If you've ever run a webinar on GoToWebinar, it's like trying to drink out of a fire hose. It doesn't make any sense, especially when it's a larger group. So I'm going to first use ESP, extrasensory perception, and I'm going to just read your mind, hopefully, and hopefully I'll get your questions answered by successfully reading your mind. That's probably not going to work. So the other thing that I'd like to ask you to do, if you have a question about trading, doesn't matter what it is, if you have a question about trading, text me your question. This is my phone number. This is my actual real phone, the phone that my family calls me on and everything. And I'm going to drop it inside the chat box here. And you can actually text. Don't call my telephone. I'm not going to answer the phone. But if you want to text me a question, I am happy to answer it on the Traders Podcast. And if I see it during the presentation today and it is applicable to what we're talking about, I'd be glad to answer your question. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to read your question in the webinar software. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And sometimes people ask me questions and I get mad because the question makes me angry, and then I spend a lot of time being angry on a webinar. And nobody wants to see that. What you really want to see, oh, somebody texted me already. Hey, 646, nice to see you. What you really want to see is if I'm actually a trader, or if I'm just like, I'm just making a shizload of money off of traders by teaching people. So I have 2 answers for you. Number 1, I do make a shizload of money from education. Like, I'm more successful at education than I've ever been. Like so ridiculously successful that I'm not even embarrassed about it anymore. Like, I can't believe how much money. I mean, I'm literally, like, it's TFL 365 is super popular, and I made like, I don't know, a lot of money on education this month. Like, a lot of money, like an embarrassingly large amount. I also, in the last 60 days or so, have made about $85,000 trading. Now, this is my live account. This is not a demonstration account. This is a real account number. And the first thing I want to get out of the way is I'm not some snake oil salesman, like weirdo, trying to get you to buy something from me. I don't give a crap if you buy anything from me. I spend time every day trading, and I trade the currency market primarily, but I also trade stocks. And these are my real trades recently. I have been the worst trader ever in the last week. I mean, just terrible. Made $39 and $68, but I lost 263, lost 569, made 166, made 2,000, made 1,000, made 42, made 623, and then I lost 2,000, 6,000, and 638. And it's not because I wasn't trading correctly. It's just because I just trading like a drunken monkey. Like just had a bad week, and we all have bad weeks every once in a while. I publish and verify my performance on Profitly. So my performance, my trading performance is verifiable and real. And I think that's important to tell you. Like, it's important to let you know I'm not just talking to you about a magical secret whatever, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, or I'm not going to demonstrate that I can actually do it. I don't think you should never listen to anybody talk about trading if they're not going to show you like what they're really doing. That's ridiculous. Like, so verifiably. So if you go to Profitly and you go to this link that I'm going to publish inside the chat on the side of the webinar, you can see my trading performance, and you can see screenshots of my live account. I do a little bit of stock trading, and then you can see my actual trading account performance. You can see more stats. I'm number 11 on all of Profitly and profits for the last 30 days. 31, ranked 31 in profits year to date. Largest trade year to date was a $29,000 win on the euro dollar. I do go for the big wins. I do. I take a lot of smaller wins along the way, but I actually do trade. So why are we here? All right. Hi, I'm Rob, and hello, you're whoever you are. I want to talk to you about the reason most traders are despicable, degenerate gamblers. Plus, I want to talk to you about a giant trade in 2015. Now, I think we're going to probably wrap this up in the next 35 to 40 minutes, maybe, somewhere around there. I actually, you can just text me, read, or put it in the chat box and tell me how much time I actually have and when you want me to finish, and then we'll wrap it up. But is everybody here ready to have a good time? You ready to have a good time today? I'm ready to have a good time. I hope you are enjoying yourself and having a good Saturday and ready for a presentation that will hopefully assist you in trading more successfully. So you can get trade alerts from me, and you can join a family of traders from around the world at tfl365.com. It's not free. There's no free trial. You're not going to get anything. This is free right now. This is your free trial of me. So I hope you can smell me and taste me from where you're sitting right now, because I'm not going to give you a free trial to my website. I used to do that, and then everybody would sign up for a free trial and ask me 10,000 questions, and I don't do that anymore. So honestly, I just think that's not going to work for me, and I'm just being honest with you. I have no reason to lie to you. I love you, but I'm not going to lie to you. The tools that you're going to see me use today in this webinar presentation are TradingView.com charts. Those are web-based charts. So let's go ahead and go back to my presentation. So you're going to see me today use TradingView.com charts, and you're going to see me use what I call Knoxville divergence, and you're going to see me use weekly and monthly pivot points. And I'll explain what some of those things are as we proceed. But first, for those of you that are short on time, or your cocaine fix is wearing off now and you have to take a nap, I want to give you the entire presentation on one slide. So we're going to make this really easy. Here it is. If you want to make money and you're a trader, then you're going to have to, and I really mean it, you're going to have to stop watching so much pornography, like while you're trading or whatever, or you're going to have to cut down on your video game playing time, or you're going to have to stop wanting money before you work for it. And in fact, you're going to have to practice. And today in this presentation, I want to show you some big trades that are coming up in 2015, trades that I am in right now and that you can take as well. And we're going to primarily concentrate on oil and currency market stuff, but I may have time to show you some stocks as well and show you a little bit about what I do with stocks. So I'm going to cover, by the end of this presentation, I'm going to cover a reasonable amount of information for those of you that like financial instruments other than just the currency trading or whatever. So I think I've got something here that's going to benefit everybody, especially the beginning part of this presentation. So I think I brought something to the table today that's going to make you a better trader. Now, there is only one rule of trading, and this is not a joke, and this is not a scam, And this is not like, I'm not like, there is only one rule. And I didn't learn this one rule immediately. And if I'd learned this one rule earlier on in my trading career, I'd have a lot more money, and I would be a lot happier. And here is the one rule, and those of you that know me already know what that rule is. Don't lose money. The rule isn't wait for options that show you the cocoon iron butterfly deep purple pattern. It's not looking for deep in the money straddles. That just sounds like a vulgar term. The trick isn't to look for two white soldier candles on a falling knife. It's not that. The only rule of trading has nothing to do with the best and most amazing trading system. And you can believe it for as long as you want, but it doesn't make any difference. In fact, it actually doesn't matter what trading system you use, and it doesn't actually matter if you change your trading system every single day. It doesn't make any difference. You have to play defense. And if we were using a sports analogy, we would say that defense wins championships. On an American baseball team, good pitching wins championships. On a European football club, good defense will stifle even Ronaldo and will win championships. You could stop your opponent, you can win a championship. And then you could just add a little bit of offense to that. And what we often concentrate on in the world of trading, because the barrier to entry is so low, it's like walking into a friggin' casino. Because the barrier to entry is so low, we focus on offense. And we think about making a lot of money. Instead of thinking, how am I going to play defense? How am I going to protect this trading account? How am I going to make sure that my capital is protected? And so we're gonna talk about that just for a moment today, and I think I'm gonna bring to the table some innovative concepts in becoming a better trader. I think of trading as climbing a mountain, and this is a mountain. And imagine that you are beginning your climb on the mountain. It's really easy at first. It's like, I'm gonna go climb that mountain. I'm gonna learn to play the piano or whatever. I'm gonna learn to be a pickup artist or whatever it is that you read about it, and it's like, oh man, I really want that so bad. And at the beginning, it's all exciting, and it's all brand new, and it's really easy, and you've got a spring in your step, and the birds are chirping, and it's no big deal. And then you're like halfway up the mountain, and you're just like vomiting all over yourself, and you're like, this is way harder than I ever thought it was going to be. And why didn't somebody tell me that? And the reason that it's so hard at the beginning for all of us is that we have this major concentration on scoring points, on offense, on getting the big win, and we don't protect or defend our trading capital. And everybody always wants specifics about what that means. And what it means is don't lose a lot of money. Like, don't tie a dollar amount to it. Just don't lose a lot of money. When I lost $6,000 the other day, that was 1.5% of my trading capital in that trading account. So I lost 1.5%. If I didn't close that trade, it could have spun out of control. It could have become a 10% loss, and then I would just be a dummy. I'd just be a stupid idiot. And so the hard thing for me in learning to trade wasn't learning what a chart looked like, wasn't learning what an indicator was, and it wasn't any of that stuff. It was learning not to lose money. Now, if you look back on the history of successful sports, you look at Michael Jordan winning Most Valuable Player awards, or you look at Messi and he's a magician on the field. If you look at individuals that have been great competitors, they have a complete game, and they understand the fundamentals. If you look back over the careers of these very successful sports personalities, or if you look at Yo-Yo Ma, or if you look at Daniel Day-Lewis, anybody who has accomplished greatness, Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, you look at, or Oliver Stone, the filmmaker, or this really cute unicorn that's filming these two dinosaurs together. If you look at anyone who's ever done anything amazing and great for the world, they have practiced the fundamentals. And because the barrier to entry to trading is so low, anybody can start trading with $100 on a currency trading account or $1,000 in an options account, and that barrier to entry is so low, what people will do is they will not focus on the fundamentals, and they won't do any practice. They'll just get right into playing, as if you could just drop yourself on the ground and join the friggin' Barcelona football squad, or join Manchester United and just say, like, here I am, I'm ready to play. bitches. Like, you're not going to say that. That's a ridiculous thing to say. And the magical thing about it is that practice is the way to unlock the easier money. But nobody wants to talk about practice. Nobody wants to talk about that. And I'm going to make it an exciting next few moments in talking about practice. Now, we're going to have plenty of time to look at trades. I'm going to look at the charts. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. But I'm just doing us all a favor by explaining some concepts that often get overlooked. And it makes me unpopular, but I seriously don't care if I'm popular. I could care less. I just want you to make money. I want you to be a happy person. I want you to make enough money to spread dollar bills all over your bed. And then you just invite all like beautiful people to get into bed with you, and you just cover yourselves with money. Or if you're like me, and that is intimidating because you wouldn't want to be in bed with a lot of people, I want to build a lazy river in my backyard. I have a giant backyard, and I live in Arizona, and I want to build a lazy river in my backyard. Like one of those lazy rivers, like actually a giant lazy river that goes around my whole house, and like it goes into the front yard and then back into the back. And then my neighbors come by, and I'm just floating on an inner tube with my kids on a lazy river because I like playing with my kids. Now, how are you going to get that? A lot of people think, well, I'm going to get that by finding the next big trade, or I'm going to get it by buying an option for 10 cents, and then it's going to be worth $10. Woo! That's not the way you do it. The way you get great and the way you unlock the easy money is by practice. That guy that was talking about options a minute ago, that is awesome stuff. Options are powerful. Options are amazing. How do you make a lot of money from trading options? Practice. How do you play at Carnegie Hall? Practice. You don't trade options by finding an option that fits a formula. That's not actually how you get great at trading options. You get great at trading options by practicing the fundamentals. So let's talk about what the fundamentals are, and let's talk about practice. And I want to talk about work. Work is honorable, and it's the pathway to extraordinary wealth. There are people who have been overnight successes, but the large share of traders that I know that make a lot of money, Paul and Tim and Scott and Nimmer and Chris Pulver and my friends that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and in some cases millions of dollars a year, they're hard workers. They get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they work. And the dirty little disgusting secret about trading is that trading is work. Successful trading is work, and if you don't want it to be work, then go away. We don't want to talk to you. It's not easy in the sense that it does require that mountain climbing. It gets easier over time. There's a quote from Michael Jordan in the book Jordan the Life by blah, 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 some guy. I just finished this book the other day. And Michael Jordan, even when he was in high school, he loved practice. And he went to the high school gym, and his high school coach would open up the gym early in the morning for him, and he focused on getting up as many shots as possible. And the author goes on to say that so much of Jordan's later success was seeded or founded in the extraordinary efforts of the young coach. From several accounts, his young coach, Herring and Jordan, they would become close. But what he would do is he would go into the gym and he would practice jump shots. He would practice layups. He would practice dribbling on the left side. And when he got tired, and he said, whenever I was working out and got tired and figured I ought to stop, I'd close my eyes and see that list in the locker room when I had been left off the varsity team. And that usually got me going again. Michael Jordan was driven his whole career and worked hard to fight against the notion that he wasn't good enough. And that sounds crazy, but if you want to be great at trading and you want to work hard, you need to get yourself inspired. You need to think of a reason that you have to prove yourself. All right, here's what you're going to need in order to become great at trading. You need charts, and you're going to need a system. So charts are just like a clipboard that a coach has when coaching a team. And a system is the playbook. It's the set of plays that you are running. You're also going to need a practice schedule. I don't know many traders in the world that have a practice schedule. In fact, I probably know 5 people in the world who are traders that have a practice schedule, and they're all making more than $100,000 a year. They all have a practice schedule. At the same time, they get up every day and they start practicing. And you might say, well, what the heck are you talking about? Well, practice for traders includes the fundamentals, watching game film, and making a game plan against a specific opponent. And I'm going to talk about those three elements, and then we're going to talk about some big trades in 2015. First of all, we got fundamentals. Do you think that a National Basketball Association player practices slam dunks during practice time with the team? Do you think a football player on Manchester United spends the entire practice doing the bicycle kick where he flips upside down and does that Pele thing? No. You practice handling the ball. You practice passing. You practice footwork. You think Daniel Day-Lewis practices, when he goes in to practice for a role and get ready, that he only practices the screaming parts or the sex scenes? No. No, practices the fundamentals. The keeping your head still, enunciating, blocking yourself so that you're standing in the right place on the stage. Those are the fundamentals for other profession. In trading, the fundamentals are not the big trade. What I see traders time and time again doing is, unfortunately, in a webinar, you'll see somebody saying, and if you had simply bought IBM at $1 25 years ago, as this system would show you to do, and they're showing you the big trade. And why are they showing you the big trade? Because they want you to hand over the big bucks. That's why they're showing you that. It's a giant scam designed to take money. You put your hand on your wallet and you back out of the room when people start talking like that. You don't go to practice as a trader and practice the big trade. You practice fundamentals. You practice good entries. You practice closing losing trades. You practice taking profit. And let me show you, in case you don't know what the frick I'm talking about, let me show you what I mean by that. Here's the euro Canadian dollar. I have a lifelong love affair with the Canadian dollar. I like its soft, silky skin and the way that it talks to me. I love this currency pair. I love Bank of America as a stock, if you want to talk about stocks. And what do I mean when I say practice the fundamentals? Every morning when I wake up at 5:15, 5:30 a.m., I practice the fundamentals. I walk backwards on the 5-minute euro Canadian dollar chart. I walk backwards on it, and I practice good entries. And here's how I do it. I open up the 5-minute chart. I get myself situated. I get out my little drawing tool on tradingview.com charts, which are friggin' amazing. And I look for my Knoxville divergence indicator. I built this. Yeah, that's right. I built it with my 2 hands. And I look for Knoxville divergence. I'm not going to teach you what Knoxville divergence is right now. It simply indicates that the market might be ready to turn in the opposite direction. That's all you need to know. Knoxville divergence indicates that the market might be turning in the opposite direction. Then I've got my colored candles on here. These are this is an indicator on tradingview.com, and I'll explain a little bit about this a little bit later. And I practice taking my entry right there when the candles change color. I practice imagining where I would put my stop loss on that trade, and then I walk forward on the charts, and I go, okay, here's another one. There's a Knoxville divergence. I built Knoxville divergence while sitting in a coffee shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. And a very beautiful woman came in and out of the coffee shop and made eye contact with me. But because I'm a complete idiot, I didn't say anything, and I don't have any skills. So that was a lost opportunity forever. And then I sat down and I thought, oh my gosh, I have an epiphany about trading because I'm such a loser. And so I built this Knoxville divergence while sitting in the Java City coffee shop in Knoxville, Tennessee, because I'm an idiot socially. And then I practiced my entry again by looking at that candle changing color, and I practiced putting my stop loss below that level. And then I moved forward on the chart. Now you could call this back testing, but it's not really back testing. It's practice. Then I look for another where Knoxville divergence. All right, I got it. Then I look for the candles to change color. And I practice putting my stop loss here. And what I've just done is I've reminded myself that this system works. I've reminded myself that this is how we do it. Let's show this prehistoric currency pair how we do things downtown, as the Ghostbusters would say. That's what I do. I wake up in the morning and I do practice, and I do that for 3 or 4 financial instruments. And then I move on. So here's Lionsgate Entertainment. So I trade stocks after earnings with Trifecta or Knoxville Divergence. And what I do is, Lionsgate is a terrible example of this, but it'll be fine. I go back in time on Lionsgate, and here's what I do. Oh, there's so many delightful trades. So many ways to do it. Okay. So here I look for earnings, and post earnings, what I do is I wait for the first Knoxville divergence after earnings, even if it's weeks or even more than a month after earnings. And then I buy on a trend line break after that, and then wait for the pop. And that's my trading system for stocks, and it's friggin' awesome. And I practice it. I wake up in the morning, and I got my watch list over here on the side, and I'm looking at TRQ, for example. I don't know what the hell these people do at TRQ. They probably make chemicals that melt your eyeballs out. And there's earnings release on TRQ. TRQ. That's not their thing or whatever. I just made it up. And then I look for Knoxville Divergence. Knoxville Divergence, built in Knoxville, Tennessee by Rob Booker. And then I wait for the trend line break. And then I sell the shiz out of TRQ. And then I just take a little bit of a win. I just take a little win. I just take a little bite out of that, a little delicious bite. Come on over here. I want to take a little bite out of you, TRQ. What's the problem, TRQ? Don't be afraid, TRQ. I'm going to take a little bite out of you. I'm about to take a little bite out of TRQ on the short side again, because after earnings it printed Knoxville Divergence. So what am I saying? What am I talking about? What are you talking about, Rob Booker? What I'm talking about is I don't go in and practice the big trade. I get up and I practice good entries. I practice imagining myself closing a losing trade at the correct level, and I practice taking profit. I practice in my mind. My mind's a dangerous place, and practice helps clean up the garbage. And that's how I practice the fundamentals. Now, the other thing that you need to do as a trader, and that no traders ever do, is watch game film. You watch the last game. If you are a sports fan, you know that coaches will show game film to their teams. And they'll ask questions like, where did we go wrong? And the hint is, we always, when we make a mistake that costs us money, or in a sports team, points, it's always fundamentals. Always. It's always fundamentals. Where did we go wrong? Fundamentals. Why did the Princeton basketball team in the United States of America, the college team, Princeton, why were they successful even against opponents from larger schools? Fundamentals. Why did the Oakland Athletics for so many years in the American baseball play well and get to the playoffs? They didn't win a championship, but why did they have great teams? Fundamentals. Why do teams win championships? Fundamentals. Why do traders trade successfully? Fundamentals. So what I want you to do and get in the habit of doing is watching yesterday's trading session by moving forward a small bit at a time on your charts and look at your trades and say, where did it go wrong? Where could I have done better? What fundamentals could I have done better? And you get better at your fundamentals. When you practice your fundamentals, you're going to be a better trader. So is everybody having a good time? Are you having an enjoyable experience here? Nice to see you here. Well, I'll tell you more about the indicator and where to get it. I'll definitely share that with you. Absolutely happy to do that. So I hope you're having a good time. Oh, great. I'm so happy to hear you're having a good time. A couple more slides, and then we're going straight over to the charts, and I will show you where to get that indicator and everything else. When you're watching, when you're doing your practice, the other thing that you need to do as a sports team is ask yourself a question about your next opponent. Where do we play next? Where is my opponent strong? What are the key matchups in this upcoming game? How do we contain their best player? That's what a sports team would say. Well, that's what we would do in trading as well. What's coming up in the next session? What news is coming out? How do I deal with that news? Is it going to be a slow day because it's the Monday after the non-farm egg roll report? Right? Is it going to be a slow day? Is it going to be a fast day? What looks good for tomorrow's game of trading? What does my opponent look like? Every night before I go to bed, I size up my opponent. What's happening on the chart right now, I ask myself. I ask myself, why are you asking yourself these questions? I think about my opponent so that I can be prepared to do battle. That's why I do it. That's why I get set up. Now let's go to the charts. Let's put some of this into practice. Practice? All right, let's look at some charts here. So welcome to my charts. I'm going to share with you a few words about Knoxville divergence on this presentation, and I'll show you what I built and how I built it. So let's do Knoxville. Is this going to show you what I got to do? Is this going to show you how Knoxville divergence is built? It is. All right, so this is crude oil. I am now going to show you how I built Knoxville divergence. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You can watch the recording. In this example, crude oil is going up on any time frame chart and any financial instrument. Crude oil is rising. At the same time, the momentum indicator is falling. Momentum indicator set to 20 is falling. At the same time those two things are happening, the relative strength index set to 21 has gone above 70. This is Knoxville divergence. It is an early warning sign that price will correct to some degree. Knoxville divergence is price rising, momentum falling. Just like when you throw a ball up in the air, it is rising higher, but it's going at a slower rate of speed as it gets higher, and then it finally turns around, and that's friggin' awesome. Knoxville divergence is not a holy grail. It's not a holy anything. I am unholy. And Knoxville divergence is an early indication that price, when it breaks a trend line or some such other biz shizniz, is about to go in the opposite direction. That's Knoxville divergence, brought to you by Knoxville, Tennessee. Price is dropping here. Price is dropping. And then the momentum indicator is rising, and at the same time, the relative strength index set to 21, 21, is oversold. My friend was in the airport one time. They said, we're sorry to announce that my friend Max, this is a real story from London, England. We were coming home from a seminar in 2006, and they said over the loudspeaker, we're sorry to let you know that this flight has been oversold. And Max just blurted out in the lobby of the airport, bye. You get the joke? It's actually a real thing that happened, so it makes it so much funnier that that's the case. Okay, that's Knoxville divergence. Now, on TradingView.com charts, you would right-click on your chart, go to Indicators, Insert Indicator, then you would scroll down to Marketplace Add-ons, scroll all the way to the bottom because they put me at the bottom. Anyway, all the way at the bottom is Rob Booker. And then you subscribe for like 12 bucks or whatever it is. You subscribe to these indicators that I built. And Knoxville divergence is included in that subscription package. I love TradingView.com because my charts go everywhere with me. I can log in from any computer anywhere in the house or anywhere that I'm at, and my charts pull up, and everything is just totally awesome. So we're gonna look at some trades right now, and I'm gonna show you what I'm working on. All right, I think we'll start with the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. On the chart in front of you, you are looking at a daily chart for the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. The U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar is correlated, highly correlated to the price of oil. And what we looked at recently was that the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar printed on the daily chart a bearish Knoxville divergence, a line that suggested that the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar was going to fall. It then broke a trend line, and we initiated a sell position on the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. This trade is open and currently running in my account. If these candles change color, and I don't have time to go into that right now, but if these candles change color to red, that means that the Murray Math oscillator that we have is ready to drop even further, and price is going to target these pivots. Now, these are missed monthly and weekly pivots, and what I mean by that is that on any given chart, you can plot pivot points, and pivot points are Support and resistance levels made from last week's movement. This is a weekly pivot in green. This weekly pivot was not touched by price during the week that it was created. The US dollar, Canadian dollar did not touch this weekly pivot. No candles touched this. This was hit, this was hit, this weekly pivot was hit, this weekly pivot was hit, this was not. If a weekly pivot is missed or a monthly pivot is missed, price wants to get back to that level. So I plot those on my screen with my super awesome missed monthly and weekly pivots indicator. Price wants to go to these missed pivots on my screen. This is my trading method. This is how I trade. These are the fundamentals. I wait for divergence, I wait for a trend line break, I wait for candles to change color, and I trade in the direction. I think one of the biggest trades of 2015 could possibly be the US dollar, Canadian dollar falling toward these levels, which are 500 more points lower than where we are right now. Dollar Canadian short trade. The New Zealand dollar in the last few years has gotten absolutely smacked around badly. Guess what's happening with the New Zealand dollar right now? It has printed divergence, and it has begun the process of rising. It is even beginning to change into bullish colors. There's divergence. Here's a trend line. Here's a color change. The New Zealand dollar, US dollar, is ready for a break. And where would it go to? Pivots. Missed pivots. Is this the only way to trade? No, of course not. That's a ridiculous thing to say. That would be idiotic for me to say. No, it's not the only thing. But these are big, 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 big potential trades. Huge trades. And they have a lot of potential. They don't happen very often, but they're awesome, and they're happening now, which is absolutely fantastic. Let me look at one more trade, and it makes me really excited. British pound, US dollar. British pound, US dollar has printed divergence several times, starting to break through trend lines, starting to move up on all of my oscillators. I am looking for the British pound US dollar to rise up into these zones right here. That's a long, long, long way. These are substantial trading opportunities. But I told you earlier that just looking for the big trade isn't helpful. It's not helpful. It's not helpful because you can't base your entire trading career on your ability to find just the big trades. So let's look at the 60-minute chart. Let's look at other currency pairs. Let's walk through the market here, and let's talk about some trades that are coming up in the next week or so even. That's the 240-minute chart. Let's go to the 60-minute chart. Oh, I don't need stocks. I already have stocks open. All right, Knoxville 60. I hope you're still having a good time. We have about 5 minutes left. We're going to run through some trades here together with you. Very happy to have spent some time with you today. Stick around. We're still not done yet. The Australian dollar, Japanese yen is printing divergences, but on the 60-minute chart, it doesn't have any pivot targets. So let's switch over to US dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's also put on our chart daily pivots. The US dollar, Canadian dollar has a daily pivot right here at 23.70, and it's printing divergence. If this can go green on the 1-hour chart and continue upward, the US dollar, Canadian dollar could easily see another 100-point rise. The US dollar, Mexican peso. Oh, I love the Mexican peso. There's divergence. Here's a weekly pivot. Here's a trend line break. I am short the US dollar Mexican peso, and I'm going to be short again the US dollar Mexican peso down into that area. This is a bread and butter trade. It can happen 100 times. This is the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. No real good trades there. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Oh, look at those divergences. So the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen has printed some divergences. We have a daily pivot down here. We could see the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen drop to that pivot. Euro, British pound. There's a missed weekly pivot. There's no divergence down here, so I actually might start looking for sell trades on the Euro-British pound. That's another bread and butter kind of trade that could be coming up. Here is the Euro-New Zealand. Divergence, trend line, daily pivots up here. The Euro-New Zealand is ready for a break upward, and that could be a really nice, small, easygoing trade. Now let's look at some stocks. I'll take you through my watch list. CTSO, earnings, divergence, it needs to break a trend line. If CTSO can break above this trend line right here, we could have a really nice pop upwards on CTSO. CERU, earnings over here to the left, divergence right here. If CERU breaks above this trend line, we could see a really nice pop upward on this. SPWH, I don't know what the heck the Sportsman and Warehouse Holdings does. Once again, earnings, divergence, and we're just about to break a trend line, and we have some pivot targets. That could be really interesting. ODFL, divergence, after earnings. Earnings were right over here, but they're not showing up on my chart right now. And we could be making a move upward. So I would buy ODFL above 73.10 for maybe 75 bucks. And the list goes on and on and on. Here's APOL. APOL, a bunch of us already bought this, and we had earnings, we printed some divergences, and we broke above a trend line, and we're looking for APOL to get all the way up to 22 bucks a share. The list goes on and on and on. I have a list of about 80 stocks that I watch that have had recent earnings, high beta, easily tradable, enough volume to get in and out, and that's how I run. That's how I run my show. Now, very happy to spend time with you today. I want to remind you, you can trade with me on a regular basis at tfl365.com. Just go to the website, go to tfl365.com, and you press on join or plans or whatever, and it's about $1 a day. It's about $1 a day, and that's it. Very happy to spend some time with you, and I want to say thanks to Reed for inviting me again. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Saturday, and good luck trading.